morning, afternoon, evening, everybody. How are you all doing? I hope you're all doing wonderfully well. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to be back in the garden. I haven't been here, well, it's 4 weeks since I sowed the peas and sweet peas. I haven't even looked yet. Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? I've been down a couple of times to harvest, but that's been it. As I was mentioning in a video a couple of days ago, rubbish weather. When the weather was halfway decent, I wasn't free to come here. I've really missed it. Rusty and Rosie have both bowled up straight away. I'm not going to cuddle Rusty today because the poor soul, he's obviously been in another fight. He's so scratted all around the edges of his head. I'm loath to even stroke him in case I touch one of those scratches. They look sore, and the last thing I want is to touch it, hurt him, and his hurt reaction will be to turn around and scram me. But in the absence of cuddles, I will chat to him, and he's having a few treats. Talking of all that, oh, that stupid infection. It's mostly, well, it's sort of subsided. It's still a little bit, I can really feel it from down, right up to there. But it's getting better. And I've had enough of being at home. That's the bottom line. I feel like, apart from a couple of visits down here to harvest, sorry, getting my hair sorted out. Yeah, I've not been out of the house. On that point, I've been very sedentary, so I've been either sitting at my desk or sitting at my sewing table. Just the walk down here today, oh my goodness, I'm so stiff all over. So if you are like me and you've been quite sedentary for a while, you've not been to the garden maybe, just go nice and steadily on your first visit back, because we need to build up our muscles again. We need to remind our muscles what they're supposed to be doing, but without hurting them in the process. So I'm going to get on with a few physical jobs today, but just really listening to my body while I go. Oh, and I've just seen these out the corner of my eyes. These remind me. I'm sure, I don't know if you have them in the rest of the world. In the UK, you will recognise these. These are little probiotic shot drinks. I wouldn't normally use these. I don't really like the whole plastic thing, etc, but having finished my antibiotics, I now want to boost my probiotics rather than my antibiotics. Yeah, I want to look after my gut again. I'm doing it with food as well, but with these on top. And this was all I could get in my neighbourhood after my antibiotics finished, rather than say getting a probiotic supplement to take or what have you. But obviously I've washed these out and I'm going to keep them because they will become cane toppers in the summer, both in terms of eye protection, but also, for instance, I'm okay for nets now in terms of my net tunnels, in terms of hoops, Enviromesh. But if you've got, say, Enviromesh or other netting, but you don't have hoops to stretch it over, so you've only got canes to make a framework with, these are great to go on the tops of the canes to stop the canes then sort of like, poking up through your nets and putting a hole in your nets. So yeah, keep an eye out for little bits and pieces like that you can pop on your canes for both your eyes and your nets. Oh, poor boy. Right, so the plan for today, I'm so happy to be back. So the first job I'm going to do, reaching down here for my prop, first job I'm going to do is long overdue. I am about a month behind in my jobs. However, none of them are really urgent. They're all things that I would have liked to have got done. The fact that I didn't, never mind, I'll do them now. So the first one is to start strimming down all those leaves I gathered in the autumn to put initially on the garlic bed as mulch, later on to find some more for the broad bean bed. And then for the parsnip bed, which is going to be emptied soon. Now, just a quick word. I'm going to strim them in my old trug. Just another 2 bits have snapped off today. So, cheerio, Rusty. Come and hang out with me in the garden in a minute, buddy. I read somewhere a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm really sorry, I can't remember where I read it, so I can't give you a link for you to look up, do your own research. But I did read somewhere that red plastic degrades more quickly than other plastics. When I say degrade, it becomes brittle. I mean, you can see, look, it's just like great splits and chunks have been have snapped out. But you know what? For strimming in, it'll do. Actually, let me put it down a second. Yeah, the red plastic degrades much more quickly. So, for example, red trugs, red watering cans. When I inherited this plot and the old shed, there were a couple of watering cans in the shed as well, plastic watering cans. One was red, one was green. I used the red one, I used them both in that first summer, and I think by the next year the red one just crumbled to pieces. So it's just a little note. Like I said, do your own Google search, maybe look it up. But it's one of those things I bear in mind now that, well, firstly, I don't really want to be buying plastic anyway. But if I do, if I really need something that is made of plastic, I'm not going to choose red. I think there's something about the action of the sun on it as well. So I don't know if it degrades so quickly out of the sun. I'm not sure. Anyway, oh, buddy, I want to stroke you so much. Oh, you're so cut to pieces. It's not going to pick up on camera. He's really cut to pieces. Oh, maybe just a little bit on your back where you're not cut. Hey, sweetheart. Oh, poor boy. Yeah, so it may be something to think about if you're going to be getting things like trugs or watering cans, is to avoid red plastic. Right, so the thing about strimming them as well, just quickly, because it'll be noisy out there once I start doing it and I won't be able to talk to you. The reason I strim, it's kind of twofold. One fold mainly, and the other fold not so much. Folding my leaves. I strim them to help them break down more quickly, to compost more quickly. Oh, hang on a second. I was just checking that it's just Rosie, and he and Rosie are sister and brother. They're fine. They're absolutely fine. If it had been that mean white cat, I would have been chasing it off. Yes, so I strim them to help them break down more quickly. A few years ago, I'd put them on the beds whole, and they were on the beds for 6 months, if not more. And when I came to uncover everything the following spring, they were just complete leaves. So subsequent to that, I started getting to the habit of strimming them, and they do break down and get incorporated into the soil much more quickly, which is great. But the other reason is when I leave them whole, they blow off the plot way more easily than when I grind them up a bit. So yeah, they're going to get a strimming and a grinding down. And something else folk have asked me in the past is, why don't I just take the mower and mow over them over and over and over rather than use the strimmer? The simple answer is, because I don't have a mower. And that's fine, I don't need one. So yeah, it's a little bit of work decanting them from the big bag into the trug, strim them down, put them on. But hey, it's a mild day. It's fairly bright. I was going to say it's quiet. It won't be when I start the strimmer up. So yeah, I don't mind doing it this way. It gets the job done. I get to be outside, and I'm going to be feeding my soil and protecting my crops at the same time. So, right, that's enough chat. Let's get on with this strimming. My strimmer battery will run out long before I run out of leaves. So I've got a feeling I'm probably only going to be able to get this first double row of garlic done, and the end where it has been exposed all winter. But this is a good opportunity. Okay, I've spotted something straight away. I need to remedy. At some point in the autumn, I can't remember when it was, possibly November, I was doing a top feed of chicken manure to all the brassica beds, and I was going to do the garlic, and then I changed my mind. I thought, no, they don't need any at the moment, but they're looking a little tiny bit pale today, a little bit yellow in places, so I think before I even strim and mulch them, I'm going to give it all a scattering of chicken pellets. The ground is really wet, really wet, so those pellets can sit on the top and they'll slowly dissolve. That goodness will go into the soil, the garlic can take it up, the mulch will be on top to protect them. Right, yes, let me go and get some chicken poo. Good. I've also just pulled out a couple of little weeds. There weren't too many, just a couple of little annuals that have popped up, they're out. But what I have made sure is there are about 4 or 5 little clumps of grass trying to come back. And as I've said before, much as I love grass, I love it in my paths, I love to walk on it barefoot in the summer. Oh, to imagine summer. But I don't want to grow grass as a crop. So now the job starts. Literally, it's a handful of leaves in the bucket. I don't know, I'm wondering if this trog will even last today's blitzing session. Blitz them up. Actually, if I face this way, if I put my back to you, where they fly out, they're going to land on the soil rather than on my path. You know, it's not a perfect chop up by any means. There's still some which are fairly big in there, but it's just enough to help them get going, to start to break down. Also, the other thing is, when I gathered these leaves, some of them were really quite dry, so I left the bag open because I knew when I gathered them, I knew we would do a few days of rain. Left the bag open, they all got a soaking, and then I sealed the bag up, so they're good and moist, which again is going to help them break down, rather than just become, what do you call it, skeleton leaves. Do you remember finding skeleton leaves when you were a kid? Oh, I loved those. Right, this is noisy, it's going to take ages. Well, it's going to take about 20 minutes because that's how long my battery life is. So I'm going to crack on and show you when I'm done, and then we can move on to the next mulching job of the day. Yay! I'm getting warm already. I might have a layer off. Hello, buddy. Are you coming in for your shot? Oh, spraying on my brassica leaves. Thank you, buddy. Right, well, I've actually managed to do the whole bed. I wasn't expecting to do that today. In order to do that, because my battery on the strimmer normally runs out quite quickly, I've just shredded them slightly less finely than in previous years because I really wanted to do the whole bed. Come to that in a second. But yes, good to get this lot on. Lovely colours, aren't they? How very, very pretty. Yay, great. So the thing was, as I was taking the nets off, one of the nets is still sitting over there. I thought I was going to have to put it back on, but no, yay. Took the nets off and they were all looking a little bit weedy. So obviously I've given them that chicken poo dressing. but two thoughts have occurred to me. And this is what I mean about, I've said it quite a few times, that sort of in the Advent calendar videos leading up to Christmas. The thing with gardening is question everything. So when I see that these are all looking a little bit pale, my first thought is, oh, they need a feed. But I haven't stopped my thinking there. So this year, where you see them here, and the purple sprouting broccoli are here, in previous years, these two have been the other way around. The reason I've swapped it this year is in consideration of the next crop, the carry-on crop. So when the garlic come out, the flint corn will go in, which should get up to about 6 feet. And then in front will be the celery and the fennel. I wanted to put them in front to give them a bit more light this year. Having done this, that over there is south. This is the north side of the garden. So obviously the pathetic winter sun is coming this way, trying its best. I wonder if they've been a little bit too shaded by the purple sprouting broccoli. That's one thought. But also the nets I had on them. So if you remember, I put this net, 2 net tunnels like this, over the entire beds. And that was so that during the winter, before I'd got any mulch on, when we get the pelting rains that we get over winter, and my goodness, we've really had them this January, putting the nets on, it just kind of breaks the force of the rain a little bit so that the ground doesn't get too sort of compacted by the rain. But what I'm also wondering is, you can see these nets have there's a slight sort of yellow tinge to them. I'm wondering if they've just ever so slightly reduced the light on the garlic. So yeah, it's a sort of a twofold wondering this morning. Have they suffered lack of light because of the purple sprouting? Have they suffered lack of light because of the netting? Is it just, they've been in the ground for ages, they needed a feed? So we'll see. Obviously they've had their feed now, and we'll see how they perk up. The consideration about the light, the reason I'm not too sure on that is where the shade that would be cast from the purple sprouting broccoli, this outside row, and maybe even this row, would still get some light. Do these 2 rows look smaller than these 2 rows? Not sure. Anyway, it's one of those to kind of think about. Is it a consideration for next year? Not sure yet. Let's see how they perk up. It may just be the feed. It may just be the fact that we've been so wet, and garlic do so hate to be wet. So let's see how they do over the next few weeks. Fingers crossed. Now it's time for me to go and get my wheelbarrow out and go and get some more mulch for the herb bed. Yay. Come on. Getting my workout today. I've just been to go and cut some more wood chips. I wish I'd had my camera over there with me, because it's such an adorable sight. There's very little wood chip left now, and it's all really compacted onto the grass. It's been rained on, so it started rotting down. So I took my grass rake, my spring-timed rake, with me to try and scrape some up. And of course, as I was scraping, I'm exposing some nice rich brown stuff down there, and along came a robin. It was probably, there's a kid singing over there, it was probably just 2 feet away from me, bold as brass. It's one of the joys of being in the garden at this time of year, when it's the same every kind of late winter, early spring, as we're preparing beds, as we're uncovering and exposing things again, or scraping up our wood chips. We're exposing loads of little grubs in the ground. So the robins, boom, they do like to keep us company at this time of year. Right, but never mind, you'll just have to imagine it. So the wood chips I've brought over is to mulch the herb bed. I'm not going to do the whole bed today because there's a couple of things I need to do with it first. The thing about the wood chips for the herb bed as a mulch, it's not so much about retaining moisture, because most of these plants are actually, they would prefer a drier root than a damp root. So it's not really that. In fact, for this whole bed, I don't water it or feed it, ever. Well, oh no, that's a little bit of a fib. The only things I have watered in the past are the lovage and the sweet cecily, because they're a more fleshy herb. They do like a drop of water, but the rest, I don't do anything with it. So the mulch is as weed suppression, primarily, because this is a permanent planting bed. So nothing's moving, nothing's changing, and we're not going to, So yeah, let's get it mulched to suppress those weeds. But also, it is going to break down. It is going to eventually, get incorporated into the soil through worm activity and just by decomposition. But it will take ages for that to happen. So it will almost be like a really, really, really slow feed. All of the plants in the herb bed, they don't want a rich soil. They actually prefer a really poor soil. There comes a point though when the soil does need a little bit of replenishment, but doing it this way, what I'm hoping is that it will be a really slow process. It won't be a burst of richness that will, upset these plants. Fab. In a way, I'm sort of trying to replicate nature, if you like, that if these plants were just growing on their own, there would be organic matter landing on the soil around them, whether it's leaves, bits of twigs, whatever it is. And that really slow decomposition will be just enough to keep that soil alive, but without being too rich for the plants. That's my thinking anyway. So yeah, actually, where am I going to start? I think at the top end. It shouldn't need weeding. Did I weed? I think I gave it a bit of a weed at the end of November. So yeah, it shouldn't need any more. Oh, it's heavy. I shan't mulch over any of the gritted areas where the bulbs are. The grit is acting as a bit of a mulch. So lovely to hear the sound of the birds. Oh, I can see another bulb coming. Yay! So on and so forth until it's all covered, all tucked up. Oh, it does feel good to be getting on. Oh, it's been great to get back into the garden today. Oh, just utterly, utterly perfect. Birds singing, it's mild. I've got mulch in my mouth. All that work today, this morning, has been quite physical. It's been perfect for this weather. It's kept me warm. I've lost layers. I'm filthy dirty, but you know what? I am definitely at my happiest when I'm filthy dirty. Yay! So I'm really glad those 2 bits of mulching are done. For sort of like the rest of February, what I'll aim to do each time I'm down here, spend an hour or so, whatever else I'm doing, allocate an hour to going and gathering leaves, basically whatever organic matter I can, get it streamed down, get it onto the beds, or beans, essentially. Yeah, it feels good to be back. This has been I can feel it, I can definitely feel it, but I can definitely ignore it while I'm out here. Joyous, joy, joy, joy. I was going to say something, I've completely forgotten what it was. So, it'll come back to me. Okay, so the next time you see me, I'm going to say cheerio. I'm going to carry on doing a few bits and pieces, and the next time you see me, it will be for a tour of the garden at the beginning of February. Before I do that, what I'll try to do is I'll try and do my little compilation of last February first, so we can see that, and then see where we're at this year. So yeah, I'm back. Yay! Oh, it does feel really good. I'm going to need a really long hot bath when I get in later. I can feel mulch. I can feel bits of leaves, wood chip, mud. I'm covered. Love it. All right, gorgeosities, please take care of yourselves. If you can get out, please do. I know that in the UK we're having so much rain these days, so much. I don't know how it works for folk who are working from home, but, you know, if it happens that the only dry day in the week is a weekday, maybe can you swap and do your work on a Saturday or Sunday and try and get out on the weekday that's dry? Because I think for the next week or so we're going to see 2 weeks even loads more rain. So yeah, if it's dry, get out there and make the most of it. All right, lovelies, see you soon.